What I've been through this week. It's crazy.
Just media stuff?
It's just everything. It's okay though. It's fun.
How many hugs from Ariel did you block?
I mean, I gave him the stiff arm about 4 times. He's trying to play footsies with me under the table. I'm like, damn, dude, chill. Hasn't been that long.
The chemistry's there, what can you do?
That's my guy, yeah. He's a fun guy.
Big fight field this week, right? Madison Square Garden, you fought there, it adds something to it, but this fight in particular, Israel versus Alex, big fight field for you as well?
New York City, man. New York City just brings something extra. I mean, we have been at pay-per-views and we have been at some big fights recently, but not many of them feel like the city. Just the lights and the glitz, the glamour. And then to have a guy like Izzy on the headline, the marquee, he draws eyes. And, you know, he just brings, it's a different audience. I saw him on the Pivot the other day with Ryan Clark, right? That massive podcast, massive numbers, and Izzy is trending on some of the biggest stars they've had on that podcast. So it's just a big week for the UFC.
Where do you fall into with Israel, right? Because he's a big star, but his last few fights, some would describe as boring. Are you in the camp where it's like, hey, Izzy is having boring fights, but his opponents get in there and they freeze up and do not give him the opportunities he needs to put on the show?
Well, here's the thing, right? And I was talking, I don't know who I was talking to about this, but generally you're telling Izzy's opponents, as an analyst, I'm like, make it boring. Because when you make it boring, you're in the fight. It's that simple. Yoel Romero made it boring, and he lost 3 rounds to 2. Robert Whittaker, in the first, there's never been a more clear indicator of how you should fight Israel Adesanya than Robert Whittaker between fight 1 and fight 2. Kelvin Gastelum is the only person that survived when he's been a bit reckless. And then, by the end of the 5th round, he was about to get finished. So you can only do so much against Adesanya. You have to be patient. You have to be okay with the crowd not really enjoying the fight, because if you do too much, you end up like Robin fight 1, where he got destroyed in 2 rounds. Then in fight 2, he fought more patient, lost 3 rounds to 2. Some people thought he won. I wasn't one of those people. Yoel Romero somehow won 2 rounds. They just did nothing. But then if you fight a lot, you end up like Paulo Costa, right? So it's not on Izzy, it's on the opponents, and the smart opponents need to be in the boring fight against Adesanya, because he's too good a counter striker. He won't lead. If you just kind of stay with Izzy, he will just stand with you.
So if that's the case, right, and you're Alex Pereira, you think, okay, I've got to take a chill, but I've beaten this guy twice, so why wouldn't I go at him? So what do you think Alex is going to do on Saturday?
He's a counter striker himself, right? So it's going to be who can set the trap. I think Pereira, like, what's important for Alex is winning the moments that aren't necessarily big. So just those big explosive moments in kickboxing, that's where Pereira has won. He knocked him out. But if you look over the entirety of those fights, Adesanya had a lot of success, right? So if you're not winning those in-betweens, you're losing the fight. And I think Alex needs to have made some adjustments to win those moments where big things aren't happening, so that Izzy's not just kind of going away with rounds.
We've got Dustin versus Michael on the card as well, which is, you basically guarantee. You can set your watch that that's going to be a banger. There's this argument about Michael's chin perhaps not being the best, but then he goes out there with Justin Gaethje and is asking him to hit him harder and stuff like that. But do you think he can stand up to what Dustin has to offer, and does he have to wrestle to find success in this fight?
You know what the beauty in that fight is? Let me look at this. I got an interview on my YouTube going live in a little bit, but I'm gonna look at the thumbnail. I always plug my channel, trust me. But this is what Dustin told me yesterday, and I just gotta get the correct version. Yes, if Michael Chandler tries to fight him like he did Justin Gaethje, I'm gonna clean him up. Like it's over. He does not think for 1 second Chandler can fight him in the way that he fought Gaethje. He's not saying that the chin won't hold up. His rhythm is too good, he believes, for Michael Chandler to stand with him for 15 minutes. So if Dustin is to be believed, Chandler does need to wrestle.
And then you got Michael out here yesterday saying that if he fights him like he did Gaethje, he will break Dustin. And Dustin's not necessarily a guy who's known for breaking in those fights. So is that kind of what we want to see as fans?
It's rooted in Michael's belief that he wants to be here more than Dustin, because he hasn't seen the heights that Dustin has seen in his career. And that's why he thinks he can take him to a place that reminds him, hey man, you've got millions of dollars, right? You've held a portion of the championship. You've done it all. You don't need this. Chandler thinks he can show him that. that will remind Dustin that he doesn't want to be in there going through what he's going to have to go through to beat Michael Chandler. It's a fun one. It's a fun one also because of all that, right? Like all that stuff. And then they'll look at you both and go, oh, but there's no bad blood. But you got to say some pretty disrespectful shit about each other. You know what I'm saying? But that's why it's so good and so fun.
I appreciate you trying to get them to talk shit to each other.
But they did though. Like when they were on DC and RC, like and that would, you know, the 1 second delay on TV sucks, but in that instance it's pretty good because it makes the argument better. Because they're just interrupting each other over and over again. It was fun.
Oh, I don't know if the moderator was meant to be pissing himself laughing as they're insulting each other.
When Dustin said he said he'd rather sell hot sauce, I was laughing. It was hilarious.
DC, right in front of you here, straight ahead.
Oh, okay.
Obviously a lot going on this week, huge fights this weekend, but I did want to get your thoughts on the news on Tuesday. Cain Velasquez, your friend out on bail, just kind of your initial reaction to the whole thing.
I was happy. I was very happy for Cain, for his family, for Michelle, little Cain, and Coral. Just, they've been through a lot in the last 8 months as a family. And from Coco having to go to school, at the school that our children go to while her father and her family's going through all that they've gone through, it's very difficult for a teenage girl, you know, so I was very happy for him. And then I got to speak to Cain on yesterday morning. We FaceTimed a little bit, so it was nice to see him laying on the floor with his son, man. Kid stayed home from school and hung out with his father. It was just, it's beautiful.
And I know we had asked you at the time when he was incarcerated, like, you know, how's he doing? And you said, oh, he's holding up all right, but can you kind of describe the relief maybe that comes with what the decision was on Tuesday?
The relief I can explain for me. I could never try to attempt to tell you what that felt like for Cain Velasquez because I've never been in a situation like he's been in. But for me, the relief was knowing that he gets to go home, you know, because in times, you know, from the phone calls to the visits, he put on a brave face, but I could tell he was hurting. You know, and it hurts us to see him in that situation. And but it's not over yet. But I think for me, the beauty in him getting to go home was also in the words because I heard the judge say something to the a crime of passion. There's a viable defense for that, and I think in that that's a positive thing for us.
Great, thanks, TCO. So unrelated to the main event or anything, but this is going to be Frankie Edgar's retirement fight on Saturday too. So, what are some of the memories you had just being around Frankie, both in and out of the octagon?
It's the best, man. Frankie's always been the best. He's like, we always called him the little engine that could because he was always too small. He never should have been a lightweight champion, but he was a lightweight champion. He fought for the featherweight championship, and now he's a bantamweight, which is probably where he always should have been. And he's always been fun. He's always been exciting. He's always been a gentleman. It's the curtain comes down on all of us, and I'm just happy that Frankie's making that decision, and he seems like he's very confident and okay with his decision to retire, regardless of the outcome. I asked him that this morning. I go, it's one of those situations where you go out there and you fight well, and you know what? I got more left in me. He goes, no, I'm good. He goes, it's time for me to turn my focus. He said because if I don't retire now, I can never start something new or the next thing in my life. So good to hear that for Edgar.
When we spoke with Chris at Media Day, he said, well, he respected Frankie and everything he did. His words were, his time is up and I'm going to have no remorse sending him into retirement. Is that the right attitude to have for this young fighter?
I mean, you got to be licking your chops when you're looking at a guy on the way out. Because they say when you start talking retirement, one foot's out the door. So, and plus Gutierrez lost his UFC debut and that's it. He's looked like an absolute savage. The guy is a phenomenal striker. He's tremendously tough, and he's got a massive opportunity for all the winning that he's done. I think it speaks to the depth of the bantamweight division that he isn't ranked because there's not another weight class in the UFC where you could fight as well as Chris has and not be in the top 15.
Yeah, John was in here saying that he's the best unranked bantamweight on this roster right now.
Well, if Johnny Alex said it, then take it as word.
And finally for me, Volkanovski obviously wants to go up and challenge your friend Islam. Obviously you're close with Islam, but I guess what advice would you give to any fighter trying to go up and down in weight to get 2 belts? Something that you accomplished.
Okay. Yeah, I did that. Remember that? Yeah. You don't change much. You just get ready to fight. You know, the guys gonna be a little heavier, but Volkanovski did not look small in the octagon. Whenever he walked in there to challenge Islam, he's shorter. And it may be an illusion because Islam's like at weight, he's in shape, and Volkanovski isn't. You know, he's like out of camp and looking a little bigger. But I think he made weight though, didn't he make weight?
Yeah.
He still didn't look small. So he's not going to be undersized, and this dude has more talent and more skill